Welcome back. In this lesson, we will look into AWS Lambda pricing. This is the AWS Lambda pricing page. You can browse this link. I'll be including this in the description. We talked about this earlier a little bit, but with AWS Lambda, you pay only for what you use. You are charged based on the number of requests for your function and the duration, the time it takes for your code to execute. So Lambda counts a request each time it starts executing code in response to an event, and that will include the invocation you do for testing. Now that's one part of how Lambda is priced. The other cost is for duration. Duration is calculated from the time your code begins executing until it returns or terminates, and duration is rounded up to the nearest 100 milliseconds. The price depends on the amount of memory you allocate to your Lambda function. You can increase the memory of your Lambda function all the way up to 3000 megabytes. It starts with 128 megabytes, so you can increase the memory. The best part about AWS Lambda is probably its free tier. Lambda free tier does not automatically expire at the end of your 12-month free tier term, but is available to both existing and new AWS customers indefinitely. And the free tier Lambda includes 1 million free requests per month and 400,000 GB seconds of compute time per month. Now what does this mean? We'll look into all this a little bit later when we start creating our function. But if you look in here, you'll see that I can tweak my memory all the way from 128 to 3000 megabytes. And if I were to choose my memory to be 1024 megabytes or 1 gigabytes, and if we go back to the pricing page, if your memory was 1 gigabyte, you get 400,000 seconds per month for free. If you lower your memory all the way to 128 megabytes, then you get up to 3.2 million seconds of compute time for free. And after that, you pay this amount for every GB second. And if you look into this chart, you can see that once again, if you use 128 megabytes, then you get 3.2 million seconds, and if you use 1 gigabyte, you get 400,000. And if you were to use the maximum amount of RAM, then you only get 136,170 seconds per month for free. Now let's quickly look at one of the examples provided by AWS. There are 3 examples, and I encourage you to look into them by visiting this link. But for now, let's quickly look at example 1. So if you allocated 512 megabytes of memory to your function, executed it 3 million times in 1 month, and it ran for 1 second each time, your charges would be $18.34 for compute and 40 cents for request pricing. So your total comes out to be $18.74 per month. And once again, that's for 3 million executions of your function. Thankfully, at first, you don't have to worry about all these costs unless you're expecting millions and millions of people per month using your application. With that, we've completed this section. I hope you have a better understanding of how AWS Lambda is priced. In the next lesson, we'll continue with exploring more things about AWS Lambda. See you in the next lesson.